You're listening to the Cinema Snarks podcast. I'm Larry,
And I'm Ren.
and today we're going to tell you how we really feel about the film Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and a
Oh,
little bit of Michelle Yeoh's
yeah.
filmography.
Yes. Sorry, I was about to say, oh my God, it was so good. That's really how I feel.
Just to kick us off, but we both
Just
went and saw it at a sort of early screening because the rollout of this film has been quite odd. Initially,
spotty.
it was advertised as coming out on March 25th, but then they were like, "Oh, just kidding, that's only LA and New York." So we're like, "Oh shit, okay, well, great." And then they were like, "All right, it'll come out a little bit more places on the first, but not here. Still not in Denver, but." It is getting a nationwide release officially on April 8th, but we saw it at a Denver Film members screening this past week, which was fun. Denver Film out here doing a whole Michelle Yeoh like program to
Yes.
celebrate.
So we figured we would do a little podcast
Yeah.
about Michelle Yeoh. Also, because when we went to the screening, the guy, is he the
He's like
head
the
of
programming director, I
he's the
think.
programming director of the Psy Film Center. He went through all of Michelle Yeoh's work, and I went, "Oh man, I apparently am a Michelle Yeoh super fan because I've seen all of these films, mostly accidental, to be honest. I mean, I love her. I think she's
Yeah.
fantastic, but I've not made like a conscious effort to be like, oh, Michelle Yeoh's in it. Well, I better go see it. And that's partially, we'll talk about this, but that's partially also because she is largely underutilized given her incredible level of talent. And also that a lot of her early films are, I have never seen
Chinese,
because
like
they're, yeah,
actual
they're
Chinese films.
not just actual Chinese. They're like bargain bin. Like if you want them, you got to find like a bootleg copy.
He was telling us
VHS
how to cut. I mean,
somewhere.
they're showing it at the film center, but he's like, yeah, before this, you had to like hunt for this little VHS tape that like two were made in the world. We're like, what?
Y'all, I am 35 years old, and the early days of being a film nerd were hard.
But the latest from Michelle, or I should say starring Michelle, is Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is directed by the duo that simply go by Daniels, distributed by the indie powerhouse A24. When an interdimensional rupture unravels reality, an unlikely hero must channel her newfound powers to fight bizarre and bewildering dangers from the multiverse as the fate of the world hangs in the balance. Wow, what an epic like summary for the film. What
really
an epic summary. um I I had seen this once before I went with Ren actually, and I loved it the first time, and I think I loved it even more watching it the second time. I loved it. I adored
I
this
had
film.
only seen it once, but it was on my list of most highly anticipated films of 2022, and I was correct.
Yes.
This is everything I want in a film, everywhere, all at once.
Well, we just got that like epic summary for the film, and I think that's what I love is that it does. We're definitely on a multiverse trend. Look, I'm wearing my party Thor shirt, and I've got Wanda behind me, so trying to give some multiverse in my look for right now on this video review. But we're in a multiverse world currently with superhero films.
There's a lot of multiversing happening.
So to get this one that is a multiverse, obviously, but is just so
It
not
is
afraid to be weird, not afraid
yes.
to be funny and
Oh,
crazy.
it's delightfully silly. Just the I think without spoiling it, I can say that like one of the mechanisms for this multiverse is like it's the improbability. And so people do improbably weird things, and that's kind of what triggers this multiverse. And so like it's just such a clever and hilarious way to make this movie silly in a just a delightful way. Um, and it just gives so much levity to it. And yet, it also maintains this great depth that makes you connect with the characters throughout. Um, Michelle Yeoh is a goddess among
Yeah.
acting talents. She's so good in this film, and we're gonna talk about her again. But she has never gotten a chance to be this person before. She has never gotten a chance to really strut her stuff. Her stuff is incredible.
Yeah.
Especially in this film, just like all the different, it's not even just she plays a lot of different versions of herself.
Yeah.
Like there, there's a certain amount of like, oh, that's fun, and they
Yeah.
do that a lot in like films, and oh, isn't that cool? They get to play an evil version of themselves or whatever. Really, with this is her main character has so much depth and growth, and she's funny and she's moving and she's just so good.
She's stubborn. You're like, oh girl, sometimes you want to shake her. You're like, what are you saying? Like, stop doing that. Like, a really well developed character.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think the multiverse here, what I loved, as we talked a little bit about it and it being used, is that it's really used as a vehicle for the human experience. Like, it's not just used, I think it's a really creative use to kind of showcase how we feel as humans, trying to find purpose and trying to search for acceptance or search for a certain something. And I thought the multiverse here was utilized really well in really conveying those deeper messages that the film depicts.
It's also just like aesthetically fun to watch. The costumes are so good, again, because you get this multiverse. So you have this one character that plays the daughter. Her name is Stephanie Sue, I wanted to say. She is actually, I couldn't remember where I had seen her before. She plays actually kind of a similar character in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Okay.
So she was on the screen, and just she has this similar sort of like snarky, sort of like sarcastic, like little lightly troubled sort of angle to how she approaches things. But she basically gets to wear the most fun, incredible costumes a person could ever get to wear. And the costume designer must have like just had a ball putting this together. It was just so fun to watch. And I think there's a missed opportunity with the multiverse of Marvel. I mean, it's not a missed opportunity. They've made these choices specifically, and it's kind of blah blah blah. But like their multiverse is there so that they can basically change out all their actors and sort of rework their plot lines. But everything, the multiverse becomes a delightful center stage character in how this all goes down. It is the whole point of the movie is this multiverse. So and all of the actors in the film are also all very, very good.
Stephanie Sue is so
great.
good.
Keep an eye out for her, because she's just going to keep going places.
Ke Huy Quan, who plays the husband, we haven't really seen much of him since the Goonies. He was so good.
He was so good. And I loved that. I love them as a couple. Like, I wouldn't have like bought their chemistry right at the beginning. Like, Michelle Yeoh is this just gorgeous, elegant, sort of like, she like exudes peace, and he's this kind of like awkward, cute, like, if you've seen the Goonies, he's kind of like an adult version of that. And it's not, but then like their relationship, that those two types, they really do a good job of like, as you go through, understanding how they fit together, and it's beautiful. I don't want to spoil anything, but I think that was the other things, is that like the relationships in this film, on top of the wonderful silliness of the multiverse and the silly costumes and the silly things that happen and the incredible fight scenes. The fight scenes are so well done. Actually, so I looked up Ke Huy. I'm sure we're saying it wrong.
All right.
But what he's been doing in the last, I don't know, Goonies come out in the 80s, in the last 30 years, is fight directing. So I imagine that was a part of what's been going on.
Both of them, because I saw behind the scenes clips of Michelle specifically doing a lot of these action set pieces behind the scenes. So you have these two actors who clearly have the skill set to do the big, cool, awesome action set pieces,
Yes.
even in their older ages that they are now compared to, you know, back when they were really going ham. But yeah, so it comes off seamless in these action set pieces. It's amazing.
Yeah, so just production level wise, it's a delight to watch.
Yes.
It
Each
really,
world felt so distinct, yet, you know, sometimes jarring because sometimes we go to some real weird places, but that's
Yeah.
part of what makes it great. And what I love actually is that each of these weird places, so you see it in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything. We have a place with rocks and we have a place with hot dog fingers. Those are probably the two most out there places that we travel to. And the other stuff isn't spoiled in the trailer, the other really kind of fun weird one. But those two, you know, you laugh when you're in them because they are played for laughs and they're ridiculous, but both of them come full circle to really poignant moments. So I think that's just kind of like the specialness of this film is we're laughing at these crazy ridiculous things, but then they circle back to, even though we're rocks right now, that human connection and feeling is still very present, and you get this beautiful moment.
And I think that's one of the things I really appreciated is that very often in film, if you want to tell a serious story about serious topics, you must make everyone cry, and it must be this heartbreaking sort of film. And Everything Everywhere All at Once does an incredible job of combining something that is visually stunning, really, really entertaining to watch the whole way through, and also deals with very real, very human, relatable themes that that move you by the end. It's such a well put together film. I'm behind the Daniels 100% now. I'll watch whatever they want to film. Just A24, you thank God for them. They just keep on just handing out great budgets for great movies, and I love it.
I think this is a good follow-up for Daniels as well. After Swiss Army Man, I think they took all of the good from Swiss Army Man and then just improved upon everything in that movie because it has a similar, you know, that film is also about human connection, and it's, you know, something we all relate to, like this loneliness, and it puts it in this weird context of a corpse that this man is just like dragging this corpse around everywhere with him. And you're like, okay, so this is weird. But that one, it didn't hit like this one did. I feel like they kept that idea of really human emotions, really deep stuff that we all can gravitate towards, and put it in this weird packaging. However, the story is just so much more complex, but well put together. The through line is really well done. They just upped their game. Like, this was learning from your first film and applying, and I really appreciate that. Yeah. Also, Jamie Lee Curtis, we haven't talked about her. Amazing.
Oh my God. Yes. Let's please give Jamie Lee Curtis the opportunity to be a character actress forever and more, if that's what she wants to do, because she killed it. Like, as soon as I saw her on screen, I was like, yes, please give me more of this. Oh my God. Okay. I don't know. I mean, I know why, but also I don't understand why she hasn't gotten more opportunities like this in the past, because she was incredible as the character she was playing all the way around. I think it was another thing that I liked about this film. You could tell that every single person was having a blast the whole time. Like, it would have been such a fun movie to make, and you could tell that the actors were really enjoying doing what they were doing, every single one of them.
I also love the score. Was really an impactful, like, movies. It was one thing, it got grand with the film because it's a fun movie in that it kind of does border on being that epic, like the synopsis sells you. Like, you know, there's these big epic action sets, there's these epic scenes, like this white room that we go to. You see a little bit of it in the trailer with like these big black montage type of thing. I mean, it's amazing. So it looks gorgeous while being so silly. And I think that's, I don't know, it's such a unique film in that regard. It's really hard to even think of other films that balance like this. I mean, you don't find daring filmmaking like this that often, I would say. And when you do, maybe they're not given the budget that A24 was able to provide to the Daniels so they could make something big and crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. But I don't know. I really think it's like almost perfect. I adore this film. Right now,
I
it's
love
my
it.
favorite thing I've seen in 2022 to this
Easily.
point. I mean, and it's going to be hard to top. I don't know. It's because we both, if you listen to our Oscar recap that we posted recently, we talk about it. We like to feel, and we
Mhm.
like to be entertained, and we like to have fun. And
Movie does all of those things.
it fed us all of that while making you think, even. So,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I
it gives us
knew from the
everything.
yeah, it was on my list at the beginning just because I tend to really enjoy no matter what these sort of like more philosophical sort of like exploratory sort of
Yeah.
films and visually stunning. I was like, no, this is definitely going to be and Michelle Yao. Oh, this
Yeah.
looks really really good, and it delivered more than I even expected, which is incredible. I expected a lot, and I liked it even more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
Loved
Yeah.
it, loved it, loved it.
So please.
It immediately goes onto my list of like favorite movies ever,
Yeah.
easily. I
Oh,
would
yeah.
sit
I
and
mean,
watch it again. Oh yeah, I went home and immediately I also immediately told Patrick that he would really enjoy it, and that's the other thing. I think everyone can enjoy this film. I would recommend this to everybody. I don't think that there's a person alive.
yeah.
There are people alive.
Yeah.
Let's
Of
be real.
course. Of
There
course.
will be dissenters who will say whatever things they're going to say about what they didn't like about this film, about it's too much nonsense,
Sure.
it was silly. They didn't like that it was silly. They wanted it to be more serious, and it was too much fun, and blah blah blah. And they'll have their
Yes,
qualms about it.
of course.
But I would literally recommend it to everyone. It is easily my favorite film of the year. Definitely goes onto my list of favorite films of all time for sure.
Well, that's our recommendation. Please Google it, look on your apps. If it's not playing at a main chain, it's definitely worth seeing at your local
Find it. You can do it.
indie theater. It will be there.
Worth
I know that it's a little bit of a messy rollout, but it's worth seeking out. It's that good.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of that good, let's talk about Ms. Michelle Yeoh, who, funnily enough, a few years back, we had that conversation of, I really want a Michelle Yeoh renaissance. We're seeing some
You
other
can
stars.
you can actually revisit our review of Shang-Chi and hear us literally say this was a vast underutilization of Michelle Yao.
We'll talk about her use in mainstream things recently, but it was around Crazy Rich Asians, and she was kind of getting talked about in a different project. And it was just like, why haven't we heard from her much since, the early 2000s when we had Memoirs of a Geisha and, of course, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and she was such a talent and we all loved her. And then nothing until she comes back as a mother figure. And we were like, oh, I really want her to come back and have the renaissance she deserves. And we're finally getting there. She has her first American production leading role ever in her career with Everything Everywhere All at Once. Amazing. And I'm just, yeah. So let's talk about those two. The iconic one that introduced her to most Americans, where she really became a name that people recognize, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. One of her iconic roles.
Yeah.
One of the roles Americans most closely associate with her.
So my journey into film nerddom kind of really sparked around the time that all of these Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Hero and House of Flying Daggers all came out. And so these movies, Michelle Yeoh, I think to me already has like this special place in my brain, just because of it's that sparked so much of like what I think of as like a gorgeous, beautiful, incredible film.
Yeah.
Of like, oh wow, the fight scenes are incredible, the shots are just gorgeous, this is magical, and the story is moving, and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was a big deal because it was a foreign language film that all the Americans were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it took the box office. It went big. It got nominated at the Oscars. I mean, it was a big deal even for us with a foreign language film that we were like, yes, we love it. And obviously, I mean, come on, the fight choreography was put in pretty much everything else to shame that we had seen. I think that's why we were all so taken aback. We were like, whoa. I've never seen fights like this.
Yeah, and it's influenced that, and The Matrix
Oh,
have
yeah.
influenced fight choreography in
Yeah,
film
that
tremendously.
2099, those two films like revolutionized action filmmaking
Yeah,
single-handedly.
yeah.
So what's like your
Can they
favorite?
jump really, really high, and do they go slow? Those are
Yeah.
the two like things that have gone. Now, to be fair, just before Crouching Tiger, Hidden
Yes,
Dragon came out, she was in Tomorrow Never Dies.
she
She
was.
was a Bond girl, but yeah, Crouching
Yes.
Tiger, Hidden Dragon was the bigger thing for
The
her.
problem is we're all just like people don't like Tomorrow Never Dies.
Right, it's just
So
retarded.
we're like she was fine as a Bond girl, but a lot of us tried to like put those Pierce Brosnan Bond movies.
I loved Pierce
I know,
Brosnan.
but girl,
He to me is exactly what James Bond is
Tomorrow Never
supposed to
Dies.
be. Less growth than all of the early Bonds,
But yes,
and
I mean,
got a little more of that. I don't know. I just like.
we
I mean,
love Pierce Brosnan in general. Let's just be
let's
honest.
be real. I like him because he was my Bond. He was the
Yes.
first Bond that like I was exposed to as a child, and so forevermore, he's going to be the one that I decided is the best one. But anyways,
what was her other early film that you remember seeing?
that's it. So those were the two
Okay.
earliest ones. And then he kind of talked about these other
What
ones.
was the
in the
Danny
road.
Boyle movie she's in?
Oh, let's see here. I'm over here in her little. I mean, she was in Memoirs
Sunshine?
of Acacia. Yes, she's in Sunshine.
Yeah, the memoirs we all saw. Yeah, so Sunshine was a little bit later
Yeah.
from Danny Boyle.
That's the thriller.
Yes.
You're like, yeah, you laugh at it. I actually can barely remember it. I know I've seen
I was
it.
like, I mean, I've seen a lot of Danny Boyle's films, but he's an up and down director. Sometimes he hits good, and then sometimes I'm like, okay, Danny, I don't know what's going on anymore. But
It was like one of the early like slow burn thrillers. I feel like, yeah.
So that was an interesting role because it kind of broke out. So she starts with an actiony movie, but she's the Bond girl with Tomorrow Never Dies. Then she goes like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Memoirs of a Geisha, and then she gets to come back like kind of outside of just Asian, influence with this Sunshine from Danny Boyle. But then, I mean,
I know I'm like looking at her IMDb, and it's just like it looks like she did a bunch of stuff in China for a while.
yeah, so she did that. She obviously voices a character in the second Kung Fu Panda movie, which,
the movie.
and then Marvel completely wastes her the first time around. So they waste her twice, really, but they have a chance to redeem themselves still with the second one. But the first time, they cast her as this random throwaway woman in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. She's like, she's with that little Sylvester Stallone gang.
Oh yeah.
She is just one of those. Like, I was. See, this is why Marvel. Remember how Glenn Close was like literally a random person in Guardians 1 and did nothing? So I'm
you
like,
can't reuse them, guys.
stop casting these amazing older women and wasting them, Marvel. I'm tired. So they waste her. But then, of course, the big film that really kind of
Except they did reuse her.
Except they did, yeah. They reused 2 Asian actresses now, so that's a weird.
Because there's only 2 of them.
Yeah, it's a problem, Marvel. But I mean, I'm glad you gave her another chance, but we're gonna need to use her better still. But Crazy Rich Asians really kind of sparked her presence back in.
Not people going, oh, she's great.
Remember her? Oh my God.
I mean, so part of the thing is that like I think she was kind of understood to be more of like a female Asian action star. When we were at the film at the Sci Film Center, they mentioned from her background that she was a professional ballerina, and that was her training. And then so she is a physical performer at her core. So it makes sense that she kind of ended up transitioning into these fight-oriented films. But I think Crazy Rich Asians was the first time that we all went, oh yeah, this bitch can act. That's right. Yeah, she was really good in Crazy Rich Asians, and I don't think she was necessarily underutilized. But it certainly was a moment of like, oh my God, give this woman a starring role.
let's not now pigeonhole her because she got kind of pigeonholed early on as action woman. Let's
Yeah.
not now pigeonhole her as mom. Like we don't
Correct.
want to don't just
No,
make
no, no,
her
no, 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 no. Yeah.
regal mother. Like no. There's more going on. Which
Which is one of the nice things about Everything Everywhere All at Once. She is cast as a mom, but
and she does action.
what's crucial here is that in Everything Everywhere All at Once, she is more than a mother, and that is kind of the struggle, I think. And that is what we need to talk about with motherhood is like becoming a mother and like what that means to your identity and how much it changes how the world perceives you, how you perceive yourself, and like how your life goes when you become this caretaker, this you have this thing in your body that you then like become the sole source of comfort, and how it can derail your life, or does it derail your life? Does it just take it on a different track? But anyways, she is the overbearing, she's the quintessential overbearing Asian mother in Crazy Rich Asians.
Very intimidating.
Very intimidating.
And then she gets to be kind of fun in Last Christmas. Like she has this kind of
Yes!
ridiculous, she's like this shop owner.
With her little like side story with a little dude that she's into. I like her that she got a moment to be like grumpy, not in a like severe way. She was like grumpy in a like sassy way in that movie.
Because Emilia Clarke's character was also not a great employee. So you're like, I get it. I get why homegirl gets mad at you because you're not a very good worker.
Yeah.
That's like the film full of people that I just am screaming to please be cast in things, in good things. I'm like, Henry Golding, I am begging for you to be Bond, honestly, but I'm just like begging for you to get another great role. Emilia Clarke, we all know it has been a damn struggle post Game of Thrones, and you are my queen. I adore you, Emilia. Please, we need to get you into more good movies.
And then Michelle Yeoh in a Marvel movie, right?
So she is going to be in Secret Invasions. The unfortunate part is every time she jumps into what should probably be a good career decision, she gets on these franchises and then it's terrible. Like Terminator, like not Rogue One, Solo, a Star Wars story. Like every time she gets into these big ones, it turns out a disaster. So I'm like, oh God. But yeah, Last Christmas was fun. Then last year, she was basically wasted twice. So we had Gunpowder Milkshake.
Ugh. Oh my God, what a disappointing piece of film.
You have Angela Bassett, you have Lena Headey, you have Michelle Yeoh, and then we're focusing on Karen Gillan, who could be good, but this character was so bland.
I would argue that was the most disappointing film of 2021 for me. So I think, was it on my list? I think it might have been on my list.
So,
Gunpowder Milkshake is a hot, like, it's just, I wouldn't even call it a hot mess. It's just like, it doesn't make any sense based on who you have in it and the basic plot line. It should be fun, and it is not
at all.
It is not fun. It is boring, and it is disjointed and not engaging, and too long, and also too short. And
I just wanted to follow them, though. I mean, I guess that's the testament to having like Michelle and Angela Bassett over here. I'm like, yes. I would rather we had followed them the whole movie. Like, make it about this society of badass women.
Also, one of the problems of the film, right, is that like we made the older women the maternal characters, and let's focus on the hot young woman who's the new thing that we care about in film right now. Like
honestly, even then, you're like, when her and Lena Headey are running around, Lena eats her up. Like she's way more an interesting character, way better present. You're like, nah, Lena Headey should have been the lead of this movie, not you, Karen. I'm sorry, but yeah, she's old.
I have yet to be wowed by anything Karen Gillan has done, and I watched her all through her entire. She's certainly not my favorite of the companions on Doctor Who. She actually kind of sucks, to be honest. Ooh. I don't think it's necessarily the actress's fault. I think the character is kind of an asshole. They've written her to be a bit of an asshole. But yeah, I just have not I don't, she's probably, her best things are,
I like her in Galaxy. Have you seen Oculus?
Maybe not.
The horror movie. I really like it. I think it's super underrated horror movie. She's good in that. So is Brenton Thwaites. apparently she had this really interesting movie that came out of Sundance. I think it's called like The Duel, where she plays two parts. But it leans into that kind of robotic nature of Carrie, like that she gives off. So she's kind of that actress, like
Yeah.
you know what you're going to get with Karen. So I
I
think that's
guess.
why Nebula works well enough because she's literally a robot in
Nebula.
Marvel. So
Yeah.
you know she worked
I
fine
don't
there.
I feel like being a robot is not like a thing that should be like your signature acting feat. Like that's not a good sign if being a robot is the thing you're best at. Probably not. I mean, even fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger managed to pull a few different performances out.
Ooh, my friend
Anywho,
Tyler,
this is not about
Tyler's
Karen
really going to
Gillan.
go ham on Ren this thing because he loves Karen Gillan. But listen,
She's fine.
she's fine. She's never like offensively bad. That's the thing with her.
She's
Like,
never offensively bad.
I never like, wow, that
good.
was terrible. She just ruined the whole film. Like
Right.
Gunpowder Milkshake came
Right.
close, but that was more because
I don't think it's her fault.
It's not her
Gunpowder
fault.
Milkshake was
it was the
fault
director's
of
fault.
the director and the script. Just
And the
and
screenplay.
Netflix for turning it into a film. I don't know.
And Netflix for greenlight.
There's nothing good about it. No, you know what was good about it? I thought like the visual, like the
Yeah.
costumes and the sets and everything were all very well done. That was another thing that I was like, man, what a wasted opportunity here.
The
What
whole film was a
of
wasted
money.
opportunity because I was pretty hyped for it, and it was all waste. But then Marvel decides to recast Michelle Yeoh because they looked and were like, "Wow, did we drop the ball or what?" By putting her as this random ass woman that will never be seen again. Let's bring her back for our Asian lead.
For our action movies wherein our main characters fight people every time, multiple times. They're centered around fighting. Let's waste one of history's greatest female action stars.
Oh, it was so like I was excited they brought her back. I was like, okay, Shang-Chi, we got a lot of, it's obviously heavily martial arts related.
If they knew what was good for them, they would do a spin-off with the sister and her together, and then we can just watch that.
Because that's a big problem there is we have, Shang-Chi and we have his little friend played by Aquafina, and you're just like, okay, I mean, he's hot. He's very attractive.
Shang-Chi. I did not care about the characters.
Lots of shirtlessness. We're cool with that. Cool.
Sure.
But his sister is so much more interesting. And then once we get to that village, she does a little training montage with him for a sec. And then when we get to the actual battle, she does nothing. Like we don't even get an action set with Michelle Yeoh in this big Marvel battle. Everyone's fighting and we don't get that. What? What is going on? Am I in an alternate universe? Because I don't understand how that was allowed to happen.
I'm still the bad guy for saying Shang-Chi was a mediocre at best.
Also, we have like the fun fact, Aquafina originally was cast to play the daughter in Everything Everywhere All at Once, but there was a scheduling conflict when it ultimately happened. I think it's for the best, honestly. After seeing the film, I'm glad that scheduling conflict arose because I think what we got was perfect. So
also, I would like more than 2 Asian actresses,
yes.
Please.
We're begging.
Branch out.
We're slowly going there, and other people. I don't know.
Stephanie Su is so cute. She's so cute.
Yeah, I was like, we've seen her in The Farewell, and I do think Awkwafina was able to bring dramatic acting to that really well. So I think she can do it. I was glad to see somebody else given this chance, and she knocked it out of the park. So
killed it.
Marvel, I know you're going to make a Shang-Chi sequel. If you don't give Michelle more to do in that damn sequel, and I have no faith that they will. That's my problem. I highly suspect.
Here's what you need to do. Marvel.
Marvel.
Here's what you need to do. You need to kill off Shang-Chi and give all of the power to the sister and move on from there. Of all of all of the characters that they're like swapping out for like different types of people, why I don't know if it's there. I don't know whose fault it is that the sister is so much more interesting than the brother. but somebody needs to
Somebody
make up for
dropped the
that
ball.
mistake.
I
I
just
understand that we need to have lots of different types of people, but also he's way less. He's so boring. There's
I
not a
mean,
interesting
that's the
character.
problem. I mean, lead men in hero movies, it's hard. It's hard to make them interesting a lot of the time. I think that's what white dudes don't understand. In general, the male hero at the center of film gets boring. So just because you change the race, we can add some others, little flares. You still need to make them an interesting character at the base.
Also, maybe give them a more interesting storyline. Like, obviously, we can do this. That Moon Knight just came out. That's an interesting. I've got one episode, and I'm like, yes, this is an interesting fucking backstory.
Listen,
I don't even know what's happening.
Do you understand me? I am so that first. Listen, just a quick segue into people I love and adore. Oscar Isaac. I am so happy that first episode was so damn good, and Moon Knight looks so incredible.
I'm very excited.
Honestly,
but it is an example of the fact that Marvel can, in fact, create characters that have interesting backstories. And Shang-Chi took every interesting character and put them on the sidelines.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, when we look at the heroes thing, a lot of times our favorite character is not the lead hero.
Correct.
It's the side characters because they're usually more interesting. The person at the center is kind of boring most of the time. We're like, okay.
The other core problem with Shang-Chi, as I said in our review, is it just follows the hero's journey beat for beat, and that in and of itself made it boring. There was nothing to like. We love this story, but you have to do something else. This story that we've heard a million times, you have to do something else to make it interesting, and they didn't do anything else.
Lord. I mean, get her again, y'all. Get her again.
Go ahead. Come for me. I don't care. Shang-Chi was not time will show. Shang-Chi was not the best. As we expand and there are even more films that delve into these more interesting worlds, time will display that Shang-Chi was mediocre in the universe at best. Anyways,
but
that was the last time we saw Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, we're not really watching Star Trek Discovery. I'm sorry. I've never really been a big Star Trek person, and we all know I'm not a TV person, so that
I'm a little more Star Wars than I am Star Trek, although I am a child of the 90s, so next gen, Captain Picard, woo! But that's the extent of my Star Trek knowledge.
Looking forward, she has a lot of voice work. She's in Minions 2. She's in this movie called Paws of Fury, and then I thought I saw another voice credit, but I'm like, okay, voice work. And then she's saddled with Avatar. She'll be in Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5, all on her IMDb coming up.
Well, good for her.
So,
I was just looking and going, whoa, she's got shit up into 2028. Oh, all the Avatar.
Oh, movies. Avatar.
Can't wait to talk about that. Probably train wreck. I just can't believe that Avatar is going to be any good. I just don't believe it for a second.
I'm excited for this Witcher Blood Origin, though. I mean, part of what I love about Witcher is sexy Henry Cavill. I will not lie. So not having Henry sexy Cavill, as if you give me Michelle Yeoh and something cool, we can make up for it.
I did not get enough sexy Henry Cavill in the last season, so now I don't care.
So I'm interested in this Blood Origin.
Yeah.
Though, so
I'm just generally interested. We're fantasy nerds, so I'm just generally interested in everything to do with the like mythology of the Witcher.
Not Avatar fantasy. That fantasy is a little bit too generic. I think maybe.
It's not fantasy. It's Cameron.
James Cameron.
It's just a James Cameron story.
It's James Cameron's take on Pocahontas.
I was gonna say it's his take on Fern Gully. It's just.
And we'll see how they're going to expand that story more. I don't know, but this I don't know what this School for Good and Evil is, but it sounds like a cool title.
It does look cool. I'm sorry. I want to go back to Avatar. Why in the world would they give him so much money to make 5 of them for this movie that hasn't been out forever? And like the reason that Avatar was big when it came out was because the fucking technology was so new. We were all like, holy shit, 3D, look at all this incredible CGI. It's fucking 2022. I don't care about blue people. We've been making fun of the blue people for the last 10 years.
And nobody cares. Like for a film, it's the second highest grossing film of all time. It hasn't stuck with the zeitgeist. Like it wasn't
No.
not even like Titanic. Titanic stuck
Yeah.
with culture. That's the James Cameron movie that stuck. Terminator, like he has movies that stuck with us forever. Avatar, we all kind of moved on and forgot. Like, so
We sure did.
why are we doing a sequel over a decade later? And not only that, 4 sequels.
That's too many.
Uh,
I'm going to say it right here, right now on this podcast. This is a Heaven's Gate, 5 films worth of Heaven's Gate. Just,
that was
these poor people that were convinced to put all their money into these films. There is no way. Avatar 2 will bomb.
And
then they're stuck with 3 more that will progressively see less. What? Since when has a 5th installation of a film franchise been worth a James Cameron level investment?
And already, and they can't back out because they already filmed. Like Avatar 2 and 3 are in post-production now. 4 and 5 are still filming. Like they went all in. Like they said, yes, this will be a 5-series franchise. Whether or not number 2 bombs or not. Like everybody else, you have to wait. You have to wait till your movie comes out before we tell you yes or no to letting you do anything ever again. But oh no, we're going to greenlit 4 sequels. The rest of y'all will never work again, but James Cameron. But I mean, good for Michelle. Collect that paycheck, girl. Get that money.
Yeah, great for Michelle. Yeah, she's got her money.
I'm glad you're booked till 2028. In something, at least we know even if you're blue, I don't know if you're going to be blue or what your character is.
That's another thing I have to say about Michelle Yeoh. Looking through her like IMDb page, this is a working actress. This is a woman who she doesn't seem to have an ego on her shoulder that makes her say, "I'm too good to do voice work for Kung Fu Panda 2," because she is. But she did it anyways.
Yeah, she'll come on board. She'll do these random projects that we've seen. And I'm just glad. I'm glad she's back in the forefront of film lovers' minds. And hopefully.
I think this is going to be I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to be a big boon for her.
This is like, again, this is a star vehicle that I love to see because it literally displays everything she does so well, and she kills it all. Like, and she is the star of this movie that just nails it.
And Larry, weren't you saying you asked the Daniels question about it?
Yeah, so I have an interview, and I got to interview the Daniels, and I asked them, like, how to, this is your second film. Obviously, they got Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe in their first one, so they have to have something going on. But this is like a second film. You've only done that one indie. How were you able to secure like these names like Michelle Yeoh and Jamie Lee Curtis? And they were like, yeah, when we wrote the script, we titled the main character Michelle because that is who we wanted. That is all we were envisioning with this character. And she was so flattered that people had taken the time to make something for her, and she said she was excited to kind of break out of what she had been doing recently with this Regal type of thing that she was on, and get to do something different and
be a little messy.
Yeah, be messy, be fun, be goofy, all of the things. So she was just so flattered that she accepted quickly, and then that got Jamie Lee was like, I really want to work with Michelle Yeoh, so she jumped on board after that. So I loved it. I was like, yes, and I'm glad others recognized her and hadn't forgotten about her, and were excited to give her this vehicle. Which, please go see it. Like, that's the other thing. We're at the end of this podcast now and not talking as much about it, but please go see it so that it makes money and we get more. I mean, I guess A24, they're kind of like, whether we make money or we lose, we're still going to make crazy stuff. But
please go see it and tell your friends when you enjoy it how much you enjoyed it, because it deserves I
all
hope it gets
everything.
nominated for its costume design at a bare minimum, and I hope
Bare
Michelle
minimum.
Yeoh gets a Best Actress
At
nomination.
least get us. Yeah, I know it's coming out so early, but we're going to be
That's
doing.
my concern. Is
Yeah,
that because it's like it's
we're going to do our
March.
part to be trying to make sure we're talking about it at least come December. We're going to be
Yes.
talking about her. The whole production will be on our lips. So
Yeah.
between this and then Batman's makeup, don't forget about these March movies who, at least in these two technical categories, don't play Oscars. Batman for best makeup and Everything Everywhere All at Once, at
They're gonna
least for
play.
costumes. I know they
That's
are.
what they do.
But that was it. That was our discussion for Everything Everywhere All at Once and Michelle Yeoh's filmography. Thank you all so much for listening. Make sure to rate and review us on whatever place you are listening to this podcast, and follow us so you're always up to date when we do upload, because as you've noticed, it is a little bit sporadic. But make sure to also be following our social media so that you see those posts as well over at Cinema Snarks on Instagram and
It's
Twitter.
not sporadic. It's calculated based on us giving you quality over quantity.
When we're excited about things, we hop on this damn microphone.
Yeah.
Ren,
we
where
make
can
sure we do it.
Where can the folks follow you along?
They can find me on Twitter at Ren Manley, or you can find me on Instagram at RennyPoo13.
Perfect. And you can follow me at Chili Boy YT on Twitter and Chili Boy Productions on Instagram and YouTube. Well, we look forward to getting snarky with you on the next one, and we'll catch you then.
Bye.